Do you, obviously you've got multiple hats on. If you're racing, so the likes of tonight, so we're recording this on Friday night and there's the backward championship in about an hour and 20 minutes start. Is there a time where your driving hat kind of gets knocked off and the stewarding hat comes on while you're trying to drive?
Not when I'm driving.
No.
I try and shut it all off. Yep, sometimes I can understand that whilst you're driving and racing around a track, your mind wanders.
Yep.
It's very difficult to stay concentrated for an hour at a time.
Yep.
And some endurance drivers do it for 2 to 3 hours at a time, and fair play to them. I can't.
No.
I can't stay focused for that long. But you do have to stay focused, and you must just concentrate on the car only. And so I try and shut off the world. I try and not worry about any of the stewarding or any of the penalties. I know they come through, and you try and read it. Just ignore it. Try your absolute hardest to ignore that side of the screen and just concentrate on your braking point, your turning in point. You know, you have to spot these little tiny things in the track, and that's what you need to focus on so that you know. But after the race, then the stewarding hat goes back on, and I help out where's needed. And if there's any stewarding discrepancies of where people aren't happy and they want to appeal, then that's where it all comes back on, and we deal with it.
Yeah. The racing side. So I'm very quickly explain the backward championship to the listeners because it's quite unique. So all the drivers qualify on Thursday night. They then get awarded points for where they finish. They then go into Friday night race, where is basically the whole grid is reversed. So your fastest pole sitter then goes to the back. Now we did this in Engford's, and it was interesting at times to see the carnage that can be caused. But in your mind, what are you more focused on, just trying to get past everyone as quick as you can before thinking about, where is, like, say, for instance, Fernando or, whoever's challenging for the championship? Are you more focused on trying to get to the front first, or are you looking to see where he is and thinking, oh no, he's ahead of me now in front of that slower car and I need to, put the foot down a bit more?
You always do. It's very, very difficult, and I'm terrible for it, really. If I see my competitor who's in the championship ahead of me, I try my hardest to find a way to get through as quickly as possible and get past. Now that can lead to mistakes, and it has happened. Imola's not exactly helped, where collisions happened. Where I was eager to get past people, because Imola's not a particularly easy track to pass on, and also I don't have much experience there. Of all tracks, I haven't done Imola much. So it's very difficult to just stay chilled, stay calm, and keep your racing hat on and make sure that you do the right thing and have patience. You'll notice that a lot of drivers don't have the patience to wait for the car in front to make a mistake or have an opportunity to get a better exit and then pull alongside. They just go and send it from 50 meters back, which is, in Formula One games, possibly would work. They've got a lot better brakes. Their brakes are like 10 times stronger than a GT3 car, but it doesn't happen like that in GT3 cars, and it doesn't happen like that in ACC, because ACC is very, very close to the real thing. I wouldn't say it's 100% on. It's very difficult to get any game 100% on, but it's fairly close, as you can't really perform a good overtake unless you are pretty much alongside, which is pretty much as close as it is to real life.
It's obviously Zolder tonight for the race.
Yes.
Now, Zolder wasn't, you said it yourself, wasn't your strongest track.
No.
For instance, if Kunos released a track tomorrow that you had never raced on, how do you go about learning that track? What's your kind of procedure for learning?
If Kunos releases a new track, I try and ignore it for as long as possible. And I'll give an example. Kota has been out for a while now, and I have never done a race there.
Yep.
And I haven't even done one lap there. So I'll only do it and start learning a track as and when it's needed to. So if I've got a race coming up, or I've got I've got stewarding there or something, I need to understand where the breaking points are to know when somebody's made a mistake and not.
Yeah.
So until it's absolutely vital, I don't really learn a track. But my process of learning a track is I'll go around, and obviously you try and go as fast as you can straight away out the box. That's what everybody does. And you make a load of mistakes.
Yep.
So I try and go around, try and remember the corners and remember which one's left then goes right. So you do, I don't know, say 60 laps, and then you got the track imprinted in your mind. Some are faster, others are slower, but about 60 as an average for me is for when I finally work out the track. And then once you work out the track, you go sector by sector to learn the breaking points of what you can figure out.
Right.
And then when you've done X amount of laps and you've learned the breaking points that work for you, you then get off, because you've probably done about 2 hours worth of driving by now, and that's a bit long for a session. For any practice, don't go over what you're capable of doing mentally, because as soon as you become mentally over that, your mind becomes a mush, and then you don't learn anything. So it's always take it in stages. So after I've done all of that and I worked out the breaking points that I feel are right for me, I watch somebody else go around the track, normally Jardia, and then fall asleep again. But
I'm sure they'll be pleased to know that you fall asleep to him.
But I'll watch him go around the track, do lap after lap after lap, and I'll try and work out where he breaks compared to relative of what I do.
Sure.
And then if I go, oh, he's braking at this point, or he's braking later than me, or he's braking earlier, he's turning in earlier, he's taking this angle while I'm taking that angle, oh, he's using all of this curb, or I'm only using part of it. You watch what he does.
Yeah.
Because he is one of the top drivers. He's probably top 50 in ACC right now.
Yeah.
So you just watch how he does it, and then you try and sleep on it, and then mimic it the next session that you have there, be it the next day, or you go watch another video and then do it the day after, so forth. But it is stage after stage, and then eventually you'll understand the track, and then as soon as you understand the track, the next stage is getting faster at the track, and that's the hard bit.
Absolutely. Do you slow down Jardia's videos to look at inputs and things, or do you think there's too much of a delay in the whole process of recording to go to being rendered to go onto YouTube, and everything that can get a little bit muddled up? Do you slow it down, or is it just a case of you just rewind it over and over again?
I normally just watch lap after lap after lap, and just pick out points in the video. There's track guides out there as well, which help loads. So using them is very, very useful, even though some of the time some of them flip images and everything, you get very confused which corner you're at, and that's happened to me. But with, say, Jardia's videos, watching this very fast sim race go around, I have slowed them down in the past to work out where his breaking point is if I can't target it. But I hate slowing them down because, one, in YouTube, especially on the tablet, it's extremely fiddly.
Yes.
And on top of that, there is nothing worse than hearing somebody at 0.25 of a speed in your ears sounding absolutely terrible.
Oh, yeah.
I find that incredibly annoying.
Oh, man, it's like the worst movie that was ever made.
Yes.
I know exactly what you mean. It is horrible when it gets to that. And then it becomes distracting, and then you're not actually concentrating on what you're actually looking at in the first place.
No, not at all. And you have to quickly turn the volume down. And then when you live with your parents and and they hear these weird ass noises come from your bedroom, they'll be like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, that's not the investigation you want to happen.
No.
In terms of setups, so obviously you will have a bundle of setups that you have fine-tuned for each track and whatever car you're doing. But say, for instance, again, if we use like Kota, for instance, next week there's a Kota drive on TOGA. Do you start with like a standard setup from the game, or do you get a setup sent to you and then you tune it from there? How do you kind of go about the whole setup process?
So if I'm learning a new track to start off with, just go on the safe preset. I mean,
Right.
there's no point in having a setup and jumping out at it, because you may instantly turn around and say, "Oh, this setup's crap," because you're pushing it too hard.
Yeah.
And it's not. Each setup is designed for a certain speed, certain turning in point, and
Yep.
carrying how much speed around a corner.
Mhm.
So if you jump into a setup and then you try it, you instantly think it's probably terrible because it doesn't do what you want. So I always go with a safe preset and learn the track first. I generally find that's probably the easiest way to learn the track. But then after you've learned the track in the safe and you've learned where all the breaking points are and you are as far as you think you can go with that setup, then change to a setup from a folder. I don't really go for the aggressive setups anymore.
Okay.
I used to, but because I've had a load of setups chucked at me or found in other people's Discord channels, and most of them are full bundles, which is kind of nice. You pick that up and then you try it out. You see how much you improve, and then you try and watch the replay, learn and feel if you're understeering at this point. Are you oversteering too much? When you go on throttle, is it on throttle oversteer? Is it on throttle understeer? Is it turn in entry oversteer? Is it turn entry understeer? Or is it mid corner? It's all these things you got to work out, and it's not easy at all to understand at all. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Well, exactly.
But each person has their own specific driving style. It's very rare to find two people that have the same. You can adapt. Of course you can adapt. But to have two people exactly the same driving style is very, very difficult to find. But yeah, it's just a head match. But yeah, it's and you get to a certain point, and then you work it all out, and yeah, it just flows after that, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of going back to the I know we've kind of went off on a little tangent there, but in terms of the kind of coaching side, have you struggled to improve any drivers? Obviously we don't need names and things like that, but has there been anyone that you've struggled to improve in any way, shape and form?
It's always a struggle to improve anybody. But when you give your advice and you give them a setup, or you help develop a setup that makes them quicker than they've ever done before, or at their particular time, it's better, because obviously ambient temperature always matters upon what the track temperature is, and it changes lap times up and down. But in that session, if you've made a change to the setup and then they've gone faster and they're like, oh wow, this is my fastest lap now, then it feels great. But you do struggle from time to time, and you can only go so far with explaining this, that, and the other to people. You can't feel what they feel.
No, that's right.
And that's the hardest bit. The only thing you can do is sort of try and judge on what they feel. And if you spot something that you're feeling that they're not, so you ask them questions, and then it's like I'll give an example of there was a chap from Tobbs Esports that asked for some coaching, and I gave it to him. And he was complaining, saying that when he turns, it doesn't feel like the car wants to turn. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't, he doesn't get the response he wants. And you ask the question, what wheelbase do you have? What settings do you have? What pedals do you have? And everything like that. And then when I explained what I do, And the reason why, because it took me a while to get the correct settings in game and on the wheelbase to get the correct feeling that you're after. As soon as I give my advice and say, this is what I've done, this is what I do, and these are my settings, and this is what I try and feel, then they play. So I gave this chap my settings. He has a Podium DD2, I think it was, he said. So he has a much more expensive, powerful unit than I do. But when I explained, this is the steering wheel settings I use, this is the sensitivity I use, this is what I do in-game, he instantly changed and then went, whoa, this is a game changer. I'm feeling so much more. And from that point where he says that he then can save slides that he wasn't able to save before. And then you get the feedback from him saying that, he's doing now faster lap times after faster lap times. Amazing. From just these settings on the wheelbase. It's a good feeling to feel that. But you do struggle, but it's so hard to find out what's wrong, if there's anything wrong at all. Or, for instance, of another example, which is one of our stewards, wanted some help in getting faster, and I was noticing that he wasn't really getting faster, but doing the same lap times, even though I showed him the lines, which were pretty decent. But he wasn't getting on throttle soon enough, and he wasn't able to trail brake around the corners. And I was like, well, what equipment do you have? Oh, I don't have equipment. I'm on an Xbox controller. I'm like, oh, well, that's our problem. In the nicest way possible, you can't feel any of that. You can't feel when you can go on throttle early. You can't feel when you're going around the corner trail brake when it's sliding. So that was the downfall on that. And, there was zero improvement going to happen because he's already hit the peak of what he could do with a controller. And without being able to feel the difference, you're not going to really go anywhere. And don't get me wrong, there are so many incredible controller players out there. Absolutely insane controller players. But they've perfected these movements, and there's so many controllers out there where you can feel the throttle response to traction control and so forth. We're talking high-tech controllers out there that for the gamers that can't get wheelbases in their countries, because there's some countries you can't get them. So it's like there's one guy met through JL. I never spoke to him, unfortunately, but he was from Nepal, and you can't get any sim racing equipment shipped over to their country. It's just, for whatever reason, it's just not allowed. And I don't know why. But that was the story I heard. And he was on a controller, and he was incredibly fast. So he was faster than me on a wheel at that time. Now I don't know, because I haven't spoken to him or seen him for a very long time. But so it all depends upon what you can and can't feel, and there are struggles if they're on a controller and you're on a wheel.
Absolutely, it's something you can play Mario Kart on compared to something that you can race aliens at. So do you get a fuzzy warm feeling when you do see people improving, or you get feedback maybe days or weeks later saying, oh my god, I can't believe how much faster I'm going?
Well, just like as Hayden has said in his podcast, or TOGcast. He likes helping people, and I'm the same kind of style, and I think that's probably why me and Hayden get on so well. Is I enjoy helping people achieve what they want to achieve. There's not enough help, in my opinion, out in the world for certain things. There's help all over the place, of course, but not in specific things, like in this case sim racing. There is not enough help out there. It's always, oh wow, I know this secret. I want to keep it to myself because I'm competitive. It's absolute rubbish. I'm always I want someone to be better themselves or get better, so that on track I can have somebody to fight against in the future. Be it either they faster me or not. It doesn't bother me if it brings that grid. So if I speak to 10 people and I end up racing against those 10 people, and all of us 10 all end up in a massive train behind us, that's exciting. is the aim which I'd love to have, rather than sort of like at Barcelona where I bugger off and I'm 25 seconds up the road.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love hot lapping, but you get to a certain point where it becomes, well, I want someone to fight against. You want those battles. That's what we all do it for. We don't do it for demolishing somebody on track, but
No.
you do it because you want those battles and have the fun and the experience, and at the end of the race go, wow, that was amazing, our fair play, we didn't hit each other, how the hell did we go around that corner side by side, that sort of thing. And if you go off into the distance and just win it by a country mile, you can't have these conversations. You just sort of sat there watching everybody else talk about how they had an amazing battle, and you're not, in the simplest way. So there is downsides to being quick, but if I can get people the understanding and the knowledge that I have, and give them the help and the guidance that they require to be able to achieve faster lap times and bring that whole grid closer for the better battles, it makes the commentary more exciting for yourself, but it also makes it more exciting for myself and everybody involved in TOGA.
Sure, absolutely. And that is a great thing, because as you said, you see some streamers who actually then hide their setup screen when they go in to do something, and you need to pay for setup bundles, you need to pay to get coaching and things like that. It's all about people keeping their little secrets or their little kind of empires, and it doesn't help unless you're in their clique as such, or if you don't know what clique means, in their little bubble as such. And I think that's where TOGA Motorsport is completely different, because it is a case of you can get driver coaching, you can get custom liveries, not just Owen, but somebody puts into the channel, I just can't improve on this track, then people are like, well, try this, or send me the video file of replay, and then we can talk about what you might be doing. It's so open about that. And I just want to kind of touch on when I was in Engford's Discord with the championship, Owen very kindly donated a little bit of time to do coaching for me, and within half an hour of that, I think I'd shaved about 2.5 seconds off my time around the Nürburgring, and I was just astounded. I thought I'd got to the point where I just couldn't improve, and Owen was so patient. He was just, do this instead, do that, yep, you're braking too early, or you're turning in too late. And there's still times I'll go around Nürburgring and there's a couple of corners and I'll think of Owen, because I'm like, yeah, I can drive this corner a lot faster now, I know how we can go around this. So my own testament, absolutely, Owen is absolutely amazing at and I kind of said this in, I think it was Hayden's podcast, about you find the level that the driver's at. You don't try and speak alien to someone that's just come into like a rookie. You find that level and you're able to talk to them and communicate with them so that they understand things about that, and even to to be able to pinpoint somebody's settings in their wheel that might be wrong. That takes a talent, to be able to do that. And the fact you share things, you share your settings and, things like that to me is outstanding. All it does is it helps everybody in the community. So the last question I am going to ask is, do you think you can win the backward championship?
Wow. I messed it up for myself at Imola, to be honest. I shouldn't have retired. I wasn't particularly feeling great.
No.
It was quite a hot and sweaty day anyway. It was about 33 degrees in England, I think it was at the time. Well, it was in my city anyway. And my bedroom, when the PC's going, my lovely black thermal curtains there to keep all the heat out, which doesn't do that anymore. It keeps it all in from the PC. And you got the window open, your fan full blast, and you're still sweating and getting hot and feeling horrible, and you don't particularly feel well. It's just time to just go, you know what? But you can't murder yourself just for a race.
No.
But that was, it was my own fault. It was my own eagerness to try and get past people, and I received a couple of penalties, which I spoke to certain people about, because they were one was rightfully given, but the other one was wrongly given, and something was missed. But at that point, you're not thinking, oh, okay, well, this was wrongly given. At that point, you're thinking, well, I've got 25 seconds worth of penalties. Is there any point in me carrying on?
Going on,
And it's something, that you need to change your mindset on. There's every point to carrying on. Even if you have got a 25-second penalty, other people may crash and exit the game. That's another position gained. That extra position is an extra point or 2 points. And it's the same again all the way through. Those 15 seconds I received, and when I spoke to the person who issued it after I reviewed the footage, and went, oh, do you know what? Actually, it shouldn't have been 15 seconds, because this person actually changed direction and braked straight in front of me. There was zero time for me to react, and I ended up going into the back of him. Because of that, and then, you got zero time for that. That shouldn't have been a 15-second. If more than anything, it should have been classed as a racing incident at least, or at worst, possibly a penalty for the person who decided to pull out into my space and then brake straight away. Because you can't be doing that, and not in racing.
No, absolutely not.
But I mean, those 15 seconds should have been then taken away, which would have then put me, God knows where, in the grid. I probably would have finished maybe 5th, and being 5th compared to 14th, it's a huge chunk of points, and the championship would have been 100% tighter by now, and I wouldn't be in the rounds where I am at this moment in time, wishing and hoping that Fernando finishes more than worse than second. Because if he finishes second, then there's nothing I can do.
No,
it doesn't matter if I get maximum points all the way through for this round and next round. I'm still missing out by, I think I calculated it as 7 points or something. So he needs to have the next 2 rounds is not particularly good. And I know there was a talk in the channel about possibly double points in the last round. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Right, okay.
It's a little bit unfair to announce it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just literally towards the end. Don't get me wrong, it would be fantastic. It would be so exciting. But at the same point, it's not fair.
No, don't move the goalposts so close to the end of the championship. So, right, well, thank you so much. We're going to obviously split this. I'll split this podcast down into 30-minute chunks, roughly, kind of where the conversation stops. It might be slightly more, slightly less. But what I want to do is thank Owen very much for his time. He is now going to go and do driver briefing. He's now going to go and get himself set for the race tonight. So, Owen, thank you very much. Can't thank you enough.
You are more than welcome. It's always brilliant talking to you, Matt. Always have been. And, thank you for all the hard work that you keep continuing to do. Not only for me, but for Hayden and for TOGA itself. I mean, you've been a great asset to us. And
that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, none of this would be possible without you. Hayden would still be pulling his hair out and scratching his bowl patch. So,
oh, that's why his camera sits in that position, so you don't see.
Don't tell him that I said that.
No. That'll be our little secret.
No one's going to hear this, are they?
No. Okay, Owen. Thank you very much. Take care.
You are more than welcome. Take care, Matt.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.